Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Kat. I'm a wife, a homeschool mom, and an avid reader. For everyone else, welcome back. It is May and time to share what I'm looking at reading for the month. Although this month is going to look a little bit different from previous months, partially because I am participating in Escape the Readathon hosted by Books with Lexi. In this readathon, we are trapped on a spaceship and aliens are or have come, but only one team can escape via um, the escape pods. And so to escape, we have to meet certain challenges, but we don't necessarily know which room we're in and where we're going. So that kind of adds an element of unknown to this, but I also like the way that Lexi set it up this year of we have prompts to go to certain rooms, but then to leave those rooms, we have to read X number of pages to move on to the next room, which is really nice, especially for how I plan to read this month. At the end of last month, I got onto NetGalley and requested 2 books from a favorite author and got both of them. Now, with getting both of those meant I looked at my shelf and I have 12 books that I haven't read that I said I would read and review. And some of them are from as far back as 2023. So, we're going to get these read and see how it goes from there. The first book on this list is Just Once by Karen Kingsbury. I have enjoyed Karen Kingsbury in the past. She is a Christian writer, and I really have enjoyed the messages that I walk away with from her books. And so when I saw this one, I wanted to go on ahead and give it a shot. It is a Christian historical romance, and so I know it's going to take me a little bit longer to read it, but I think that is also what drew me into it. So this one was published November 14th in 2023, and here is what the description says. In 1941, beautiful Irville, Holland is too focused on her secret to take much notice of the war raging overseas. She's dating Sam, but is in love with his younger brother, Hank, her longtime best friend. And Irville has no idea how to break the news. When the unthinkable happens, Pearl Harbor is attacked. With their lives turned upside down overnight, Sam is drafted and convinces Hank to remain in Indiana, where he and Irville take up the battle on the home front. While Sam fights in Europe, an undeniable chemistry builds between Irville and Hank, but neither would dare cross that line. Then, 2 military leaders pay Irville a visit in the classroom where she teaches. The men have plans for her, a proposition to join a new spy network. One catch, she can tell no one. With Irville caught between 2 brothers thousands of miles apart, can love find a way, even from the ashes of the greatest heartbreak? So this one definitely is one that caught my attention, and every historical fiction book I have read, I have loved, especially when they were about World War II. And there are a few other titles, such as Codename Helene, that fall into this same women being spies during the World Wars, that I really enjoy. And so I'm going to put this one on the list for the month and get it knocked off and do the review. The next book that is on my NetGalley list to read and review is Bright Red Fruit. And I am going to totally butcher the last name. I believe it's pronounced Sophia Eliho. Um, and in this one's written in verse, which kind of intrigued me because it's written in narrative verse instead of being um in a like iambic pentameter or any of the other poetry styles. So I'm hoping that this one will help me to find an enjoyment for poetry, because I am not a big poetry reader. But the description of this one is bad girl. No matter how hard Samira tries, she can't shake her reputation. She's never gotten the benefit of the doubt, not from her mother or the aunties who watch her like a hawk. Samira is determined to have a perfect summer filled with fun parties, exploring DC, and growing as a poet, until a scandalous rumor has her grounded and unable to leave the house. When Samira turns a poetry forum for solace, she catches the eye of an older, charismatic poet named Horace. For the first time, Samira feels wanted, but soon she's keeping a bigger secret than ever before, one that could prove her reputation and jeopardize her place in the community. In this gripping coming of age novel, from the critically acclaimed author Sophia Eliho, a young woman searches to find the balance between honoring her family, her ancestry, and her authentic self. So, this one, like I said, I am excited to give this one a shot. It was published February 6th of 2024. So, it's been out for a couple years. I don't know how worthwhile my review is going to be, other than to increase my review stats. But I am going to give this one a shot, and I'll let you know what I think. Up next is The Fiancé Dilemma by Elena Aramis, who also wrote The Spanish Love Deception, which I heard amazing reviews about. And so when I saw this arc, I jumped in and requested it. But then here it is, a while later. This one was published July 30th in 2024. So you've probably already heard of it. But this one actually, I am realizing I have read this one. I read this one back in January, but obviously did not review it. So here's what it's about. Josie Moore has given the opposite sex and love plenty of chances. 4 exactly if you count all of her failed engagements, and 5 if you include her no longer absentee father. Nonetheless, when the influential man decides to announce his retirement with a splashy magazine piece, and Josie learns that her romantic history isn't great PR for the family, she jumps at the chance to offer a solution. Matthew Flanagan is in the mud, literally. Not only has he been fired from his job, But after taking a wrong turn on his way to Green Oak, North Carolina, his car is stuck. So he grabs his duffel bag with his essentials and goes in search of a place to crash until he gets his life and vehicle back on track. But instead, he stumbles upon his best friend's sister, Josie, greeting him as her fiance. What started as a big misunderstanding quickly turns into a fake engagement, with Matthew playing the role of the doting fiance as he and Josie are swept into a PR whirlwind. The ring on Josie's finger makes her stomach turn, but she knows this is only temporary. They have rules in place, and one of them is no matter what, there will be no exchange of I do's. But that's easier said than done, as lines soon start to blur, and the rest of the small town comes to believe that the fifth fiance is truly the one. Now, what I remember from this one is that it was really cute rom-com. Lots of moments of Josie sticking her foot in her mouth. Anytime she gets nervous, she will panic and offer a solution that sometimes doesn't just affect her, such as calling Matthew her fiance. So I'm going to give this one a reread now, just to kind of refresh my memory before I write the review, and then I will knock this one off my NetGalley. All right, so I don't know what is wrong with me and putting reviews up. This next book is The 13th Child by Aaron A. Craig. I really enjoyed Aaron A. Craig's other books that I have read, which include The House of Salt and Sorrows. So I really enjoyed that series. And so when I saw that The 13th Child was available as an ARC, I went ahead and requested it, and then apparently read it and did not review it. So this one came out in September of 2024, and that's when I read it. I read it 10 days before its publication and didn't review it. What is wrong with me? But here's what this one is. All gifts come with a price. Hazel has always known she wasn't like the rest of her siblings. A 13th child, promised away to one of the gods, she spends her childhood waiting for her godfather Merrick, the dreaded end, to arrive. When he does, he lays out exactly how he's planned Hazel's future. She will become a great healer, known throughout the kingdom for her precision and skill. To aid her endeavors, Merrick blesses Hazel with a gift: the ability to instantly deduce the exact cure needed to treat the sick. But all gifts come with a price. Hazel can see when death has claimed a patient, when all hope is gone, and is tasked to end their suffering permanently. Haunted by the ghosts of those she's killed, Hazel longs to run, but destiny brings her to the royal court, where she meets Leo, a rakish prince with a disdain for everything and everyone. And it's when Hazel faces her biggest dilemma yet: to save the life of a king marked to die. Hazel knows what she's meant to do and knows what her heart is urging her toward. But what will happen if she goes against the will of death? So this one, The 13th Child, is a must-read for fans of dark fairy tales, romantasy, and epic fantasy alike. And so this one is definitely one that fits right into my reading preferences. And so I'm excited to reread it and finally review it. I'm not sure what kept me from reviewing it in 2024, but something did. So I guess that's just fate that I'll get to read it again, to review it and knock it off my list. All right. I've done it a third time. Hopefully, after this will be it. I don't know what I'm going to do if not. The next one is The 13th Husband by Greer McAllister. This one came out in August of 2024, and I read it in September of 2024. Um, so I'm not sure what was going on in my head in 2024 to keep me from actually writing the reviews after I read the books. But here is what the book's about. Based on a real woman from history, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo meets The Haunting of House Hill. I'm sorry, The Haunting of Hill House in this fictional tell-all narrated by the glamorous Amy Crocker, revealing everything from her mischievous days in German finishing school to dinners with Hawaiian royalty to lavish Astor parties in Manhattan. But behind Amy's public notoriety, there's a private pain. When Amy is 10 years old, as the night dips into the witching hour, the woman in white appears to her. Minutes later, Amy's father is dead, and Amy inherits a fortune. But the woman in white never really leaves Amy, appearing as a sinister specter before every tragedy in her life. Despite Amy's wealth, her cross-continental travels, and her increasingly shocking progression through husbands, Amy is haunted by the unidentifiable woman's mysterious motivations. Tearing through millions of dollars, 4 continents, and a hardy collection of husbands, real-life heiress Amy Crocker blazed an unbelievable trail of public scandal, private tragedy, and the kind of strong, independent woman the 1880s had never seen. Her life was stranger than fiction and brighter than the stars, and she whirled through her days as if she was being chased by something larger than herself. Greer McAllister brilliantly takes us into her world and spins a tale that you won't soon forget. If I remember correctly, there's a big twist at the end that I really enjoyed. So hopefully I can enjoy that twist again, although it will be in a different way because I'll know it's coming. I just hope that knowing isn't going to take away my enjoyment from reading this. All right, back to books that I have not read and need to review. The next one is The Banned Books Club by Brenda Novak. This one was published September 17th of 2024. And here is what it says. She left her hometown following a scandal, but family loyalty is dragging her back. Despite their strained relationship, when Gia's sister Margot begs her to come home to Wakefield, Illinois to help with their ailing mother, Gia knows she has no choice. After her rebellious and at times tumultuous teen years, Gia left town with little reason to look back. But she knows Margot's borne the brunt of their mother's care, and now it's Gia's turn to help, even if it means opening old wounds. As expected, Gia's homecoming is far from welcome. There's the Banned Books Club that she started after the PTA overzealously slashed the high school reading list, which is right where she left it. But there's also Mr. Hart, her former favorite teacher, the one who was fired after Gia publicly and painfully accused him of sexual misconduct. The one who prompted Gia to leave behind a very conflicted town the minute she turned 18. The one person she hoped never to see again. When Margot leaves town without explanation, Gia sees the cracks in her sister's perfect life for the first time and plans to offer support. But as the town, including members of the book club, take sides between Gia and Mr. Hart, everything gets harder. Fortunately, she's learned that there are people she can depend on, and by standing up for the truth, she finds love and a future in the town she thought had rejected her. So, this one, I'm really excited to kind of jump in and see. I have a feeling I picked this one either because of the title without reading the description, or I read the description and decided that it wasn't going to be a problem for me. Um, but we'll have to see. I normally avoid books that have um, the lines being crossed between teachers and students or between adults and minors just because of my past history. But I am going to give this one a shot and I will let you know what I think. All right, this next one I know I picked for the cover. It is just too cute. And this one is Until the Clock Strikes Midnight by Alchia Dao. This one was published February 3rd of 2026. So as you can tell, for the most part, I didn't request any books in 2025 with the exception of this one because of doing college. And I knew that I just wouldn't have time. I thought I might have time with this one, but apparently I did not. But I'm going to give it a shot now and try to read it and review it this month. But this one is it says The Good Place meets the Brandy version of Cinderella. So I really enjoyed both of those. So I think that this will be a great one for me. It is a YA, so it should be a really quick, fun read. And then I can pass it off to my daughter and see if she enjoys it as much. Here's what it says. Darling is the most talented and unusual guardian to get a chance at winning the coveted once-in-a-generation Mortal Outcome Council mentorship. Getting the spot would mean having the opportunity to shape the future happiness of all mortal realms, if she succeeds at her first assignment. Lucy Adelsberg. Darling thinks it'll be an easy razzle-dazzle job, until she actually meets Lucy. Her life is a complete mess, from her failing bookshop in her downtrodden village to her doomed flirtation with the Princess of Lumia. But if there's one thing Darling's good at, it's a makeover. Calamity is the most talented and most arrogant misfortune of his class. It's his job to save mortals from their own terrible decisions made in the pursuit of the mythical happily ever after. When Callum is granted a shot at the Mortal Outcome Council mentorship, he thinks his dreams are finally coming true. But first, he must pass the test. It should be easy. Lucy Adelsberg has been unfortunate for years. All he has to do is continue her string of bad luck, so she can finally come to terms with reality and settle for a safer, more logical path in life. Yet when he arrives, he finds that Lucy has a guardian assigned to her too, a chipper overachiever who is as colorful as the magic pouring from her glittery wand. To thwart each other, Darling and Callum insert themselves into Lucy's life, posing as a betrothed couple. as they try to guide her down what they each see as the best path for her life. They start questioning their roles and ultimately what they truly want for themselves. And if those feelings of loathing they have for each other might actually be something more like love. So this one looks very interesting. I think the other book that's written here is also by El Chiadao, is Just a Pinch of Magic. I believe I have read that one, but I'm not 100% sure. But so I'm going to give this one a shot and see how it goes. All right, so these last two that I'm going to be looking at finishing in May actually are 4 books, because both of them are series. The first one is Trisha Levenseller's The Shadows Between Us series. I have the second book on NetGalley, which is The Darkness Within Us. This was published July 9th, 2024. I'm not sure if I knew that it was a second book in the series, and I'm not sure if I have to read The Shadows Between Us. I'm trying to look at the things. So it doesn't look like I have to read it, but I probably will, just so that I have the world building in it, because there is a lot going on. So in The Shadows Between Us, the description says, no one knows the extent of the freshly crowned Shadow King's power. Some say he can command the shadows that swirl around him to do his bidding. Others say they speak to him, whispering the thoughts of his enemies. Regardless, Alessandra, tired of being overlooked, has a plan to gain power. Woo the Shadow King, marry him, then kill him and take his kingdom for himself, or for herself. But Alessandra's not the only one trying to kill the king. As he dodges assassination attempts, she finds herself trying to keep him alive long enough for him to make her his queen, all while struggling not to lose her heart. After all, who better for a Shadow King than a cunning, villainous queen? So there's that one. And then The Darkness Between Us, the description says it is following Chrysantha Stouthos. Chrysantha, oh my goodness, this name is going to kill me. Chrysantha Stalos. I still said it wrong. Okay. We're just Chrysantha. She has won. By hiding her intelligence and ambition behind the mask of a beautiful, air-headed girl, she has become a wealthy duchess. And once her elderly husband dies, she will have all the freedom, money, and safety she's ever wanted. Or so she thought. A man claiming to be the estranged grandson of Chrysantha's lecherous late husband has turned up to steal her inheritance. To make matters worse, her little sister is going to be queen and is rubbing it in her face. Chrysantha decides that the only thing to do is upstage Alessandra at her own wedding. And as for this grandson, he has to go. Never mind that he's extremely handsome, with mysterious powers. No, Chrysantha wants Eric's Demos dead, and in the end, a Stanthos girl always gets what she wants. So, this one, I know I picked first because of Trisha Levenseller, who also wrote Daughter of the Pirate Queen King, and the second one, which I believe is Daughter of the Siren Queen. So I really enjoyed Trisha Levenseller's writing, and so I'm going to give the Shadows Between Us series duology a try, and see where it takes me. All right, so this last one is the Empire of the Vampire series by Jay Kristoff. I picked this one because I enjoyed Jay Kristoff writing with Amy Kaufman. I really enjoyed their writing together and wanted to see if I will enjoy Kristoff on his own. So this series, I have Empire of the Damned on NetGalley, but I'm not going to look at the synopsis for that one because I know that that one will give away things for the series. So I'm going to start with Empire of the Vampire, which is the first book. And it says, "From Holy Cup comes holy light. A faithful hand sets the world aright. And in the 7 martyrs' sight, mere man shall end this endless night. It's been 27 long years since the last sunrise. For nearly 3 decades, vampires have waged war against humanity, building their eternal empire even as they tear down our own. Now, only a few tiny sparks of light endure in a sea of darkness. Gabriel de Leon is a silver saint, a member of a holy brotherhood dedicated to defending the realm and church from the creatures of the night. But even the Silver Order could not stem the tide once daylight failed us. And now only Gabriel remains. Imprisoned by the very monsters he vowed to destroy, the last Silver Saint is forced to tell his story. A story of legendary battles and forbidden love, of faith lost and friendships won, of the wars of the blood and the forever king, and the quest for humanity's last remaining hope, the Holy Grail." So this one is actually a trilogy. So depending on how I enjoy Empire of the Vampire and Empire of the Damned, will depend on if I continue on to the Empire of the Dawn. Despite what my feelings are for Empire of the Vampire, I will go ahead and read Empire of the Damned. But also, these are 700 plus page books. So I'm setting myself up to read at least 2,200 pages. And so I know that that's going to be quite a big task. We'll see if that one gets finished in the month of May. That might have to get pushed to June. But even if I'm only left with one book on my list, I am really excited to knock off all of these really old titles that I've had eARCs of thanks to NetGalley. All right, so there are 11 titles that I'm gonna try to knock off my NetGalley list during the month of May, so that I can then move on to my 2 brand new NetGalley arcs. But I'm gonna save those 2 for later because I know that I'm really gonna want to read those 2 just based off of who their author is. But we're going to get started and I will see you next time. Bye.